Hi, Aries, Sun, Moon, and Risings. Welcome to your June 2022 horoscope. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be covering the major transits for the month ahead using tropical astrology and the whole sign system. I strongly recommend that you watch your rising sign, otherwise known as your ascendant sign, first and foremost, because it will be the most accurate for you overall. Having said that, the sun sign horoscope will tell you more about your career and your life goals, whereas the moon sign horoscope will tell you more about your personal relationships, your emotional health and well-being, and your living circumstances. So, first things first, on the 3rd of June, we're going to see Mercury finally stationing direct in the sign of Taurus. So, for the last couple weeks of May, you may have been refinancing. There may have been some changes that you made to your finances and your budgeting schemes. You may have rediscovered old possessions or valuables. Maybe they were handed back to you. You could have had a change in your diet, or maybe you've totally changed up your wardrobe and how you are dressing. So, the post shadow period for Mercury retrograde is a couple of weeks. So, if your pay has been delayed, or if there have been some complications with accessing certain funds or resources, just know that by about the 17th, 18th, 19th of June, you can finally sort those things out. Now, on the 4th or the 5th of June, depending where you live in the world, we're going to see Saturn stationing retrograde in the sign of Aquarius at 25 degrees, and this will be in your 11th house. Now, Saturn spends about 5 months being in retrograde motion every year, so it's nothing to overly fixate on. Having said that, just a few things that you may start noticing as the month progresses from about the 4th or the 5th of June will be big restrictions, limitations, delays, or maybe just a lot of hard work that you are putting into your long-term plans, long-term projects, maybe large-scale projects. You could be reworking certain investments that you have. You may have to reapply for a government grant, or maybe there's some hoops for you to jump through before you have access to a retirement fund or pension money. When Saturn is retrograde, we basically start working really, really hard in whatever house it's retrograde in. So Saturn actually does pretty well in the 11th house because the 11th house is connected to our long-term goals and dreams, and Saturn can aid us in having a lot of determination and persistence and being quite strategic and realistic with our goal setting abilities and the steps that are needed to achieve those goals. So, in a nutshell, Saturn retrograde in the 11th house can sort of be like 2 steps forward, 1 step back energy, where now you have to go back over the next 5 or so months and work out the finer details of certain long-term goals and dreams that you have. Now, on the 11th/12th of June, we're going to see Venus form a conjunction with Uranus in the sign of Taurus, and this will be at 16 degrees in your second house. So this conjunction occurs about once a year on average, and essentially we want to combine what we know about Venus and Uranus to arrive at a conclusion. So first and foremost, Venus represents valuables, possessions, money, wealth, food. The second house is also connected to all of these things as well. And Uranus represents a very shocking energy, very volatile. It can represent there being some big changes that come through either unexpectedly or prematurely. Sometimes we actually do have an awareness of what Uranus is going to bring us, whether we are astrologers analyzing astrology or whether, there's something that we're anticipating and then Uranus rules over things being early and being premature. So things can just basically be brought forward on the timeline. So because this is occurring in your second house, I see this as being indicative of some sort of unexpected, premature, or unforeseeable circumstance or event which occurs with regard to your finances, your money, your possessions, your valuables. And just to go through a few different ways of how this can play out, there may be a large financial investment that you need to make, which comes pretty out of the blue. So Uranus can represent there being no awareness of this large amount of money that you need to invest, or it could be that you have to pay a lot of money earlier than what you anticipated. With Venus ruling over your second house as well as your seventh house, this could be funds that you need to pay to another person. This could be connected to paying for certain services or products, or on a different level with Uranus ruling over your 11th house. Maybe you're needing to invest a large sum of money which is connected to your long-term plans for the future, or for a long-term project or retirement fund, or investment money, or this could even be to do with cryptocurrencies. So some of you may be taking money or cashing your cryptos into cash, for want of a better term, and this could be done prematurely because there's some sort of financial thing that you need to deal with. On a different level, you could receive a large sum of money. So it certainly doesn't have to be negative. You know, conjunctions can really go either way. It just depends on your personal chart, remembering that this is a general reading. So you could receive a large amount of money. You could have to spend a large amount of money. You may have to spend money on your property, whether this is to do with a rental, buying, selling. Maybe you have to pay agent fees to a real estate agent or to a realtor. And I'm saying this because the conjunction is occurring at 16 degrees, and the 16th degree in astrology is the Cancer degree. So this is very much connected to property, real estate, or even family. So you could have to pay some money to family. Maybe you're receiving money from them unexpectedly. On a different level, with the second house representing your valuables and your possessions, you may receive a valuable or a possession which is unexpected. Something else to note is that the 16th degree falls into the Scorpio Dwad, DWAD, for those of you who are wondering. So this is representative of mutual resources. So maybe you're receiving an inheritance early, or some sort of heirloom early. And you know, I'm not foreshadowing someone's untimely passing. I'm just saying maybe you were promised a property or a piece of jewelry when someone passes and they're like, hey, you know, here you go, have it now. On a different level, with this conjunction, just be careful of having sudden allergic reactions to things. And I'm saying this because the 11th house, Uranus rules over your 11th house, which can represent there being some sort of rash that flares up because the skin is connected to. Anyway, I'm not going to go into medical astrology. I'm just saying be careful of having allergic reactions to things. On one hand, you may not know that you're allergic to something. On a different level, if you are eating food that someone else has prepared for you, especially with Venus ruling over your 7th house, they may accidentally put in something that you're allergic to, or they may forget that they've added something, or just be unaware of whatever meal they are serving you. So if there is something that you are highly allergic to be honest, around this date, which once again is the 11th/12th of June, I just wouldn't be eating food that other people have prepared, just point blank. I know this is a general reading, but you know, my moon's in Virgo, so I want to give you guys the heads up. Now, this is a real curveball, but it's kind of a funny one. Venus rules over gifts, and the second house is connected to valuables and possessions. Venus rules over your 7th house, which is connected to proposals, and Uranus is something which is, again, unexpected, shocking, or even premature. So there could even be like a marriage proposal that comes through The reason why I said it was funny is because I was kind of picturing the whole like engagement ring in champagne. We don't need to get so specific, but you know, an unexpected proposal could be made for sure, for some of you. Now, on the 15th/16th of June, we're going to see Mars, which is your ruling planet, being conjunct with Chiron in Aries in your first house at 15 degrees. So, Mars, being your ruling planet, indicates you and what you are doing and what you're pursuing, what's happening to you. The first house rules over your physical body, and Chiron is I mean, people think it's an asteroid. It's actually what's called a centaur. In any case, it is representative of a spiritual wound, an emotional wound. It can represent physical wounds as well. And essentially, Chiron is the way in which we can be wounded and then wound others with our unawareness of this sort of deep seated core emotional, spiritual, or psychological issue. So, I'm going to talk about how this can impact you on the physical level, and then I'm going to talk about how this can impact you on a psychological level. So, on the physical level, and this is more for you Aries suns and risings, whereas the moon in Aries people will probably resonate more with the psychological side. Nonetheless, for Aries risings and suns, do be very careful when it comes to accidents and to the body, especially to your hands, forearms, fingers as well. And I'm saying this because the 15th degree in astrology is the Gemini degree, which rules over hands, fingers, forearms, as well as like the lungs and the respiratory system. So Mars conjunct Chiron can indicate there being an accident or a breakage, or maybe even receiving a burn. So, if you are cooking or handling sharp objects, tools, or even weapons, just be very, very careful when it comes to slip of the finger, slip of the knife as you're, working in the kitchen, and certainly if you work in a very mechanical job with machinery and equipment, be super duper careful around this period of time, which again is the 15th, 16th of June. I would even extend it, 14th to let's say the 17th of June. And on a different level, this can indicate a flare up of a rash because Mars represents inflammation as far as medical astrology is concerned. So I guess this could somehow be connected to what I was talking about with the Venus Uranus conjunction, just in that allergies and then a flare up of something that's a core issue for you. On a different level, 15 degrees Aries falls into the Leo decan. So the Leo rules over the back and the heart, and 15 degrees and 56 minutes in Aries falls into the Libra microzodiac, or the Libra Dwad, which represents balance and harmony. I know I'm getting super specific, but basically, as far as the physical side of things are concerned, be careful with your back, be careful when you're carrying a heavy load. Even if you've got like, heaps of bags that you're carrying in one hand, just balance it out, because this Libra micro zodiac influence here is all about things being in balance and being in harmony. And also, you just want to be very careful when it comes to stress levels around this period of time and your nervous system. If you have some sort of predisposition to heart issues, just try not to get yourself worked up or have a super accelerated heart rate around this period of time. Again, I don't want to freak you guys out. I know you're Aries and you're like, whatever. I'm still going to go skydiving. Please don't. But it's a general reading, so if you want to do it, do it. On the psychological level, and so this will pertain more to Aries moon and probably Aries, well, all Aries. On a psychological level, this can see you healing a relationship with siblings, with cousins, with relatives, with friends as well. And I'm saying this because the 15th degree in astrology is connected to Gemini energy, which represents all of those individuals. The Gemini degree is also connected to co-workers and clients. So just know that around this period of time, it's sort of like it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, you may be very sharp with your words, which again would be the Gemini degree, especially with respect to being blunt, saying things that are offensive or in an abrupt way, even if it's unintentional. So again, Chiron represents our ability to wound others as well as where we have a core wound. Now, on a different level, you may receive information which is hard to hear, as well as delivering it. It could be both, or it could be one or the other. On a positive level, Mars is your ruling planet. With Mars being conjunct Chiron, which is so connected to healing and spiritual knowledge and wisdom and information, this can see you having an incredible breakthrough on a psychological level, on an emotional level. You can heal relationships with anyone where there's been some sort of discord or a state of, chaos with the other individual. You can actually have an open discussion about what pains you and upsets you, and this can be received well by the other person. Now, on the 22nd/23rd of June, depending where you live in the world, Venus is going to enter the sign of Gemini, which means it will be transiting your third house, and it will be there until around the 17th or the 18th of July. So about 3 weeks. Wherever Venus goes, this is where we can experience some sort of blessing or things going right or compliments. We can have successful business transactions with Venus being in your third house. So for those of you who work in commerce, sales, marketing, small teams, maybe you're like a trainer, or maybe you're a YouTuber, or you deliver course material or put together some sort of teaching information, whether that's like webinars or whatever, or even journalists. All these areas can see there being a huge improvement. There can be a lot of success. Your work can be well received. This is a great time for collaborating with other individuals. This is a good time to strike up negotiations with other people. With Venus ruling over your 7th house, which is already connected to collaborations, and being in the 3rd house, you may be signing contracts to work with another person. With Venus ruling over your 2nd house, you may find that the people that you're trying to do business with are more amenable to paying you more, whether this is, with a contract with work, or whether this is just paying you a higher price for your services or for your products. This is a very prosperous time for you financially, and also, with just all kinds of relationships. Because Venus rules over the 7th house, which is connected to relationship energy, like romantic relationships, and Venus is the planet of relationships. With Venus in your 3rd house, for those of you who are single, this can see you striking up a relationship, or maybe having flirtations, or dating someone in the office, or someone that you're friends with, someone who's in your neighborhood or local community, or who you meet while you're in a local area, or maybe this could be a friend, if I didn't mention that already, or a coworker. Ooh, spicy. Now, on the 28th of June, Neptune is going to station retrograde in the sign of Pisces at 25 degrees in your 12th house. Neptune, like Saturn, spends about 5 months retrograde every year, so it's not a big deal, but I just like to mention when planets do go retrograde, because the most powerful and potent time of any planet change, planetary directional, anyway, whatever. It is when planets station retrograde and when they station direct. So because Neptune will be stationing retrograde at 25 degrees in your 12th house, this can see you may be having to fork out a lot of money, because the 12th house is connected to large sums of money and losses. Some of you may actually rediscover a lot of money that you lost. Maybe you had like a wad of cash under the bed. Maybe you thought that certain um, like funds were inaccessible or gone forever, and now the retrograde sort of like brings it back to you on a more psychological level. This can see you finally understanding the ways in which you have been self-sabotaging, whether this is, relationships, or whether this is to do with certain vices or addictions, or just, behavior which is detrimental to progressing in certain areas of life. And certainly this could see some of you getting back into spirituality, and maybe even starting to practice utilizing your own intuition. Now, lastly, for the month, on the 29th of June, Venus in Gemini in your third house is going to make a sextile to Jupiter in Aries in your first house. And this is going to be at 7 degrees. So, because Jupiter is in Aries in your seventh house, you will feel this strongly. This is a very positive transit as well. I wanted to end it on a high. And certainly the Aries individuals who will feel this the most intensely will be those of you who are between, let's say, like 0 degrees up to 10 degrees. So I want to say like first decan Aries people. In any case, Venus is the lesser benefic in astrology and Jupiter is the greater benefic. So both planets are connected to abundance, money, wealth, good luck, and basically the sextile aspect in astrology represents um, the energy of Venus, and sextiles are very much connected to there being an opportunity that we must act on. Okay, so if you do not act on the sextile energy at play in your chart, you will not get the full benefit that it can receive, or you won't be able to sort of access the full potential of it. In any case, I see this as being help that you can receive thanks to Venus and Gemini in your third house. And this can see you being liberated from something. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to step into your authentic self. Maybe this person is going to help you with travel plans, especially because Jupiter in the first house can indicate international travel. Someone could actually be booking a plane ticket for you. Maybe they are organizing accommodation for you. Maybe they're hooking you up with a sweet connection to someone abroad. Maybe they're making an introduction for you to connect to someone who lives abroad, or maybe they are circulating your work because the third house is connected to communications and writing, as well as, like videos. Again, YouTubers would be seen in the third house. On a different level, Jupiter is connected to publications. So someone may be offering to circulate your work, to circulate a written paper or your videos, or to basically help you expand your horizons. Maybe they're just giving you like a pep talk. So they're like hyping you up, saying, hey, yes, you can do it. You should totally start your own business. You should totally travel abroad. You should, definitely reach out to that person that you're interested in, maybe dating. So essentially, Venus and Jupiter go hand in hand when it comes to delivering blessings. Now, because Jupiter is connected to generosity, as well as benevolence and being like a life coach as well, there may be an opportunity which crops up at the end of the month. So again, around the 29th of June, if not the day before, the day after, where someone wants to be your client. Maybe they want to be your the mentee to you as a mentor. Maybe they're asking you to teach them something. So Jupiter can represent teaching as well as coaching. Maybe you never had You never thought that you could be a teacher or that you could coach another person. And then um, a friend or a client or, even a sibling or relative is like, hey, I'd totally pay you to teach me about this. In any case, please capitalize on some sort of opportunity which presents itself around the end of the month. It may even be um, it may even be that someone says something and you think it's a throwaway comment, but they're serious, but they just don't want to push you. Venus and Gemini it can sound like, chattiness or like gossip sort of energy, like chit chat, not gossip energy. But because this is occurring at the seventh degree, this person's serious. They just don't want to like push you too hard. So they're just like throwing it out there to see what sticks. And so, Aries, that's all I have for you for June 2022. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content on this channel, hit the subscribe button. And I do offer private one-on-one astrology and tarot readings as well. So if you'd like to book a reading with me, you can do so via the link in the description box below. Enjoy your month ahead, you guys, and I will see you next month.